am clearly just an ordinary kid adopted from an orphanage. A teenager. Yet I can see translucent lines of text floating all over the world. I can even predict the future fates of every child, all because I accidentally gained the ability to observe the plot. Those lines of text are speaking to me. The little girl in the corner clutching a tattered cloth doll. She's the one truly worth protecting. The orphanage hallway lit by dim yellow lights. The smell of disinfectant mixed with laundry detergent burrows straight into my nose. I follow my uncle stepping inside. The sound of leather shoes tapping on the cement floor echoes sharply. This time my uncle is here to adopt a child, and I, under the guise of being the nephew who needs a companion, appear outwardly obedient, but my eyes can't help darting around. Right at that moment, something strange happens. Translucent white lines of text suddenly appear before my eyes, like comments scrolling across a video page. On the orphanage walls, above the little girl, on the director's documents that keep drifting by. Here it comes, here it comes. The cannon fodder plot before the heroine appears. This guy dressed so shabbily. You can tell he's just a passing character. The director doesn't even bother looking at him. A penniless nobody daring to interact with the heroine. I suddenly stop in my tracks, lower my head to look at my shirt. Though it's not designer, it's at least clean and tidy. The word NPC leaves me utterly confused. Just as I think I'm seeing things, new lines of text keep appearing. Quick look at the girl in the corner, dressed in rags. She's definitely the future villainess. Looking so destitute, whoever adopts her will be cursed with bad luck, doomed to never rise above. My gaze instinctively shifts to the corner of the room. There a frail little girl stands silently. Her clothes are indeed worn out, but her eyes shine with an uncanny brightness. The text claims shall become a villainess, but for some reason, I strongly doubt those words. Suddenly the text floods in frantically, all of it discussing the girl in the blue dress. I follow the hint and look over. Near the window there's indeed a neatly dressed girl, her hair braided prettily, quiet unlike other kids her age. But those lines of text make me puzzled. Something about a future noble lady, something about the plot beginning. It's like watching a TV drama unfold. I rub my eyes, trying to dispel the illusions. At that moment, I hear my uncle discussing adoption with the director. He wants to adopt an older child easier to talk to. As my uncle speaks, his eyes sweep around the activity room, finally settling on the girl in the blue dress. That girl looks well behaved. Just as the director is about to respond to me, the text before my eyes suddenly erupts in chaos. Everyone excitedly shouts to choose quickly, saying this is the start of the noble lady's journey. But right then, a few lines of text mention a small figure unnoticed in the corner. I can't help but look toward that corner. Next to an old wooden cabinet, a little girl huddles, wearing faded, worn-out clothes, her hair a tangled mess, clutching a tattered cloth doll tightly to her chest. Compared to the other kids, she looks especially lonely. Why not check out the girl in the blue dress first? My uncle's voice rings out. The director is about to call that girl over, but for some reason, my eyes can't tear themselves away from the girl in the corner. In her dark, shining eyes, there's an indescribable resilience. Look, the girl in the corner holding the tattered doll. My heart suddenly tightens. The way she grips that doll reminds me of when I was little, the only toy I hid under my bed. Even stranger, when I look at her, a feeling wells up inside me, indescribable, as if something in the void is pulling me toward her. I shake my head hard, trying to dismiss the absurd thought, but the vulgar lines of text keep appearing relentlessly, saying things like an NPC pauper shouldn't interfere. No money, don't delay the heroine. The girl notices my gaze. She shrinks back timidly. Her dark eyes flash with a hint of panic. My heart tightens even more. Uncle, I like her. My finger, without hesitation, points to the unnoticed little girl in the corner. Instantly, the text explodes, swirling in a frenzy. Is he crazy? Ignoring the future noble lady to choose a pile of rags. This kid looks like prime villainous material. Deserves to be poor forever. The venomous words make me clench my fists. She's clearly just a shy little girl. Why should she endure such malice? My uncle is clearly stunned by my choice. He crouches down, pats my head and says, "Little fan, have you thought this through? That girl doesn't seem talkative." My uncle is clearly hesitant because the girl in the blue dress looks more like the ideal well-behaved child in everyone's eyes. But I nod firmly, deliberately speaking loud enough for everyone to hear. I see clearly. Uncle, I like her. The doll she's holding is just like the one I had as a kid, and her eyes sparkle like stars in the sky. These words are half true, half made up. The doll does bring back memories, but what really draws me is her eyes. Clearly cautious, yet radiating a resilience, like wild grass sprouting through a crack in stone. The director is clearly surprised too. He walks to the corner, gently pats the girl's shoulder. "Little Joy, do you want to go home with this uncle and big brother?" The girl named Little Joy looks up quickly. Those dark eyes dart between me and my uncle. She clutches her old doll tighter. Her knuckles turn white. She doesn't speak, only lets out a soft sound like a frightened kid. The text continues its frantic flood, saying her mute personality will surely be despised. A pair of paupers waiting to be crushed. But I don't care. I slowly walk to Little Joy, crouch down, and soften my voice high. "Little fan, your name's Little Joy, right?" She still doesn't answer, just hides her doll behind her back, one eye peeking at me cautiously. "What's your doll's name?" I keep trying to make conversation. My doll when I was little was called Little Black, because it was a black cat. Little Joy's eyelashes tremble slightly, as if intrigued by the name Little Black. She murmurs softly, "It's called Ball." Her voice is as faint as a mosquito's hum, but I hear it crystal clear. "Ball," I chuckle, "that's a cute name." My uncle, watching for a while, finally sighs and says to the director, "If Little Fan likes this child, let's do the paperwork." Though he doesn't understand my choice, my uncle always dotes on me, always willing to indulge my wishes. Throughout the adoption process, those vulgar lines of text never stop, from the plot veering completely off track to plans for raising a villainess. All sorts of harsh words keep flooding in. I simply ignore them, only occasionally sneaking glances at Little Joy sitting on the long bench. She still clutches her doll name, her back straight, gazing out the window, like a resilient sapling growing in the wind. When sunlight suddenly shines on us, Little Joy instinctively raises her hand to shield her eyes. I notice on her small wrist a faint scar, as if from long ago. The text immediately jumps out, mocking cruelly. The pauper pair makes a grand debut. Hurry and bask in the sun. There won't be good days ahead. I suppress my anger, quietly stepping to Little Joy's side. I take off my cap and gently place it on her head. The sun's harsh where this. The cap is a bit big for her, covering nearly half her face. She freezes for a moment, then in a voice almost inaudible, says, "Thank you." My uncle drives his old car up. I climb into the back seat first, then extend my hand to Little Joy. "Let's go home." The moment I hold her hand, I feel a chill. Her fingertips are rough, clearly from doing chores at the orphanage. Once in the car, she hugs her doll tighter. Her body instinctively leans toward the window. She looks tense, uneasy, as the car slowly pulls away from the orphanage. My heart suddenly feels strangely calm. Though the annoying text still floats before my eyes, it gradually becomes less glaring. My uncle glances at me through the rearview mirror, his voice tinged with doubt. "Little fan, why did you insist on choosing Little Joy?" I deliberately wink, putting on a childlike innocence, because she'll definitely be my best friend in the future. What I don't say is that from the moment I first saw her, the thought of a future wife sprouted like wild grass, spreading uncontrollably in my heart. Though I don't understand why I see those strange lines of text, or what a heroine or villainess even means, a steadfast voice in my heart repeats over and over, "It's her." When the car stops in front of our apartment building, under that old weathered complex, Little Joy looks up at the stained walls and the exposed electrical wires, her eyes curious yet tinged with tension. The text immediately jumps out to mock. As expected, gearing up for a life of poverty. The tragic life of the villainess starts here. I pretend not to see, holding little Joy's hand as we climb the stairs. Our home is on the 3rd floor. The stairs are a bit steep. Go slow! This time she doesn't pull away. Her cold little hand rests obediently in mine. At the corner of the 2nd floor staircase, she suddenly stops, and in her Mosquito-like voice asks me, "Does your house have good food?" I nod enthusiastically, of course. My uncle cooks amazing food. There's meat every meal. Though in truth, because my uncle's busy, I often eat takeout. But I don't want her to be disappointed. Little Joy's eyes light up instantly, though the spark flickers and fades. I catch it clearly. The moment we push open the door, the aroma of cooked rice wafts over. Turns out before we left, my uncle had set the rice cooker. Little Joy hesitates at the door. Her worn-out canvas shoes shuffle on the mat. Afraid to step inside, I pull her in. "Come on. This is your home now." She cautiously surveys the not-so-spacious house, but it's cleaned spotlessly. Her gaze finally lands on the sofa, on the small temporary bed set up beside it. The text immediately mocks not even a proper bedroom. Sleeping by the sofa, how pathetic. The glaring text keeps flashing, saying they can already predict her tragic fate, some destined ending or another. I step to Little Joy's side, point to the small bed, and say gently, "You'll sleep here from now on, okay? In a few days my uncle will buy you a new bed, and pretty bedding too." Little Joy doesn't respond, just slowly walks to the bed and sits down, carefully placing ball on the pillow, as if testing whether this new environment is safe. Looking at her frail back, a pang of sorrow rises in my heart. In the eyes of the text, she's a villainess, but in my eyes, she's just a little girl who needs careful protection. Little Joy, I sit beside her and say seriously, "From now on I'll protect you." She suddenly turns her head, her eyes full of astonishment. I look straight into her eyes and repeat, "Really? I'll treat you well, very, very well." Right then, a lone line of text drifts by, fainter than usual. What's wrong with this NPC? The plot seems a bit off. I smile faintly, ignoring it, because I clearly see the corner of Little Joy's mouth twitch upward, though only briefly. I'm certain I caught that moment. My plan is only just beginning. This girl labeled by the text as a villainess is destined to become the most important person in my life. The first month Little Joy stays with us, she's like a small animal always on guard. She secretly watches how my uncle and I eat. After washing dishes, she neatly folds the dishcloth. Even when I give her a new toothbrush, she hesitates for a long time before accepting. And those floating lines of text become a strange window, letting me peek at the so-called future plot. The text suddenly buzzes. Quick look. The heroine's been adopted by a rich family. A luxury car parked right at the orphanage gate. That's the aura of a true noble lady. The glaring text jumps out again, saying the plot is finally back on track, and gleefully mocking Little Joy, doomed to struggle at the bottom of society. I lower my head to the rice in my bowl, noticing Little Joy frowning, eating her vegetables in tiny bites, clearly unused to the ginger in the dish. My uncle hums an off-key tune in the kitchen, clearing the dishes. Sunlight streams through the window, shining on a glass jar on the table. It's a jar of fruit candies I secretly saved up to buy for Little Joy. The colorful candy wrappers glimmer in the light. "Little Joy!" I push the jar toward her. "Try the strawberry one." She lifts her dark eyes, glances at me quickly, then lowers her head softly, saying thank you. Her fingers hover over the candies for a long time, finally picking the plainest orange one. The text immediately mocks, "Poor people's candy, what's so good about it? The heroine's eating imported chocolate now." I hold back, ignoring those venomous words. But I notice after eating the candy, Little Joy carefully smooths out the orange wrapper, tucking it into an old picture book from the orphanage. That book, missing pages, has a faded bunny drawing, but she treasures it like a gem. When the weekend comes, my uncle has to work overtime. I take Little Joy to the park near our house. She still doesn't talk much, just clutches the hem of my shirt, following behind. At a flower bed, she suddenly crouches down, staring intently at a crushed daisy. The text immediately mocks country bumpkin never seen anything before. The heroine's learning flower arranging at a private estate. I crouch beside her, watching her gently prop up the daisy with her small hands, finding a thin stick to carefully support it. "It's hurt," she says softly, her voice full of pity. "It's okay." I pull out a band-aid I prepared from my pocket, like dressing a wound. "It'll heal soon." Though I know putting a band-aid on a flower is silly, I still earnestly help her wrap it around the stem. Little Joy watches me put the band-aid on the daisy, with my clumsy funny movements, and suddenly bursts into laughter. It's the first time she's laughed in front of me, like ice melting in winter, sunlight pouring through the cracks. Her eyes curve into beautiful crescents. A faint dimple appears at the corner of her mouth. Even the dust on her face seems alive. The text immediately explodes. What's going on? The villainess can laugh. This NPC must be using cheap tricks to fool her, but I don't care about those harsh words. Seeing Little Joy's radiant smile, my heart feels like it's been gently touched by something warm and ticklish. I cough twice pretending to be calm. What's so funny? Is it that weird? She shakes her head, stretches out her small hand, lightly touching the band-aid on the daisy. "Little fan, you're really kind." It's the first time she's openly praised me. My cheeks burn. I quickly turn away, of course. "I'm your big brother, no I mean. Your friend, I mean friend." On the way home, Little Joy talks much more. She points at a stray cat by the road saying, "It's skinny like ball." She looks up and asks me, "Are clouds in the sky made of cotton candy?" I patiently answer her every question, but in my heart I think, this is no villainess like the text claims. She's clearly a soft-hearted kid, yearning to be loved. That evening my uncle comes home from work, bringing boxed fried chicken drumsticks. Little Joy's eyes light up at the glistening drumsticks, but she eats in tiny bites, and secretly puts the biggest piece in my bowl. "Little Joy, you eat it." I quickly put the drumstick back, but she stubbornly pushes it back. "You eat it. You gave me the strawberry candy yesterday." My uncle watches, laughing heartily. "Stop pushing it back and forth, I'll buy more tomorrow." Seeing Little Joy's adorable way of nibbling the drumstick, I suddenly feel, these simple days are wonderful. No luxury cars or mansions, no imported chocolate. But there's my uncle's nagging. The drumstick Little Joy secretly shares, and the glass jar filling up with colorful candy wrappers. Those small joys are warmer than any lavish life. Little Joy watches me put the band-aid on the daisy, with my clumsy funny movements, and suddenly bursts into laughter. It's the first time she's laughed in front of me, like ice melting in winter, sunlight pouring through the cracks. Her eyes curve into beautiful crescents. A faint dimple appears at the corner of her mouth. Even the dust on her face seems alive. The text immediately explodes. What's going on? The villainess can laugh. This NPC must be using cheap tricks to fool her, but I don't care about those harsh words. Seeing Little Joy's radiant smile, my heart feels like it's been gently touched by something warm and ticklish. I cough twice pretending to be calm. What's so funny? Is it that weird? She shakes her head, stretches out her small hand, lightly touching the band-aid on the daisy. "Little fan, you're really kind." It's the first time she's openly praised me. My cheeks burn. I quickly turn away, of course. "I'm your big brother, no I mean. Your friend, I mean friend." On the way home, Little Joy talks much more. She points at a stray cat by the road saying, "It's skinny like ball." She looks up and asks me, "Are clouds in the sky made of cotton candy?" I patiently answer her every question, but in my heart I think, this is no villainess like the text claims. She's clearly a soft-hearted kid, yearning to be loved. That evening my uncle comes home from work, bringing boxed fried chicken drumsticks. Little Joy's eyes light up at the glistening drumsticks, but she eats in tiny bites, and secretly puts the biggest piece in my bowl. "Little Joy, you eat it." I quickly put the drumstick back, but she stubbornly pushes it back. "You eat it. You gave me the strawberry candy yesterday." My uncle watches, laughing heartily. "Stop pushing it back and forth, I'll buy more tomorrow." Seeing little Joy's adorable way of nibbling the drumstick, I suddenly feel these simple days are wonderful. No luxury cars or mansions, no imported chocolate, but there's my uncle's nagging, the drumstick little Joy secretly shares, and the glass jar filling up with colorful candy wrappers. Those small joys are warmer than any lavish life. Late at night, I get up to use the bathroom. Passing through the living room, I see little Joy's small bed is empty. My heart clenches. I hurriedly search everywhere, finally spotting her frail silhouette on the balcony. She's holding her old doll ball, her body pressed against the railing, staring blankly at the dim yellow streetlights. Little Joy, why aren't you sleeping? I rush over, gently draping a jacket over her thin shoulders. When she turns her head, I see her eyes are red. I'm missing Mrs. Lee from the orphanage. Her words melt my heart. I crouch down looking out the window with her. If Mrs. Lee knew you're doing well now, she'd be so happy. Little fan, she asks softly, will everyone really keep me forever? The insecurity hidden in her words pierces my heart like a needle. I know too well the sensitivity of orphanage kids, always afraid of being abandoned again. Of course, I'm not firmly putting all my heart into these words. My uncle and I have said it. You're our family, forever. She bites her lip hesitant, but I keep feeling like someone's saying I'm a villainess, saying it'll be poor forever, and do bad things. Her words startle me. Could she see those damned lines of text too? You see those words, I ask nervously. Little Joy shakes her head, not words. A feeling like someone's whispering those things in my ear, saying I want to have a good ending. Her voice starts to tremble. Little fan, I don't want to do bad things. I don't want to be poor forever. So that's it. Though she doesn't see the exact content, she vaguely senses those cruel judgments. For a child, what a heavy burden that must be. I hug her tightly, like holding a fragile treasure. Don't listen to that nonsense. It's all lies. She tries to say something. I cut her off, pointing to the warm streetlight outside. Look, it'll put a band-aid on an injured daisy. It'll give you the biggest drumstick. It'll treasure every candy wrapper. So how could little Joy be a bad person? I lift her small face, saying word by word, fate is in your own hands, not decided by others. She sobs softly in my arms. Her small hands wrap around my waist really. I feel her tiny body trembling, like a sprout swaying in a storm. I gently pat her back. In my softest voice, I say, of course it's true. In my eyes, you're the most wonderful little Joy. That nonsense is all lies. The streetlight outside stretches our shadows long. Little Joy's breathing gradually steadies. I carefully carry her back to her small bed, tucking the blanket neatly around her. Looking at her peaceful sleeping face with tear stains, I silently vow in my heart, no matter where those lines of text come from, no matter how that plot unfolds, it'll protect this pure kind little girl. When I return to my room, I notice the text has changed direction. This plot's gone wrong. Isn't the villainess supposed to be jealous of the heroine? Why do I suddenly find this pair kinda cute? Seeing the dancing text, I can't help but chuckle softly. Let them think what they want. I only know that right now, little Joy, clutching her old doll, has a sweet smile at the corner of her mouth. Time passes, like gears coated in honey turning slowly. The meals my uncle cooks, the candy wrappers little Joy collects, the comic book I hid under my bed, form our simple warm life. Little Joy, once so timid, gradually opens up. She'll lean over when in doing homework, using a pencil on scrap paper to draw wobbly bunnies. Sometimes when my uncle works overtime, she clumsily cooks rice in the rice cooker, though it's often half cooked, half raw. My uncle and I always pretend it's delicious. Those floating lines of text become the most off-key note in our lives, but they can't affect the genuine bond between us. Whenever I see little Joy diligently collecting candy wrappers, or her clumsy attempts to help with chores, I'm even more certain that the so-called villainess, the so-called doomed tragic end, can't compare to the truly adorable girl before me. The TV is showing a piano competition award ceremony. The heroine under the stage lights gracefully accepts a golden trophy. The text immediately buzzes. This is a true noble lady. Look at that elegance. The villainess is probably washing dishes right now. I turn to look at little Joy by the coffee table. She's focused on drawing with old colored pencils. Sunlight streams through the window shining on her. Her messy hair glows with a golden sheen. On the paper, a wobbly drawing of the three of us. My uncle holding her hand. Me holding a giant candy, with the word family scribbled beside it. The glaring text circles her head like black crows. Such an ugly drawing. The heroine's sketches could sell for money. I deliberately hold up a washed apple, blocking her view. This is a great drawing. When I save enough money, it'll buy you a new 12-color pencil set. Little Joy's eyes light up instantly, but she puts the apple aside, pulls open a drawer, taking out a rusty tin box. Inside are neatly stacked coins. I have savings too. Let's save up together. Most of it is pocket money from my uncle, and coins she earned helping neighbors. The heavy tin box is like her earnest heart. I suddenly recall last week's parent-teacher meeting. The math teacher specially praised little Joy's rapid progress, while the heroine, glorified by the text, is said to have made enemies at her elite school due to her arrogance. That halo of hers is increasingly at odds with reality. In middle school, the day little Joy is chosen as the class arts representative, she clutches a crumpled plan and finds me, her fingers nervously twisting together. Little fan, my class is putting on a play. I want to play the little match girl. Am helping her mend her uniform. Hearing this, I pause my needle. Why this role? Her ending isn't. Little Joy's eyes shine under the light because she's very brave. Though cold and hungry, she never gave up hope. Her words warm my heart. I suddenly realize that no matter what the text says, it can't change. The light radiating from the girl before me. The glaring text jumps out again. The villainess is indeed only fit for pitiful roles. Look at the heroine playing Cinderella. That's the gap. I put down the needle and thread, looking earnestly into little Joy's eyes. You'll definitely be the best. The day of the Little Match Girl performance, my uncle and I squeeze into the back row of the auditorium. When little Joy steps out in her patched old dress, the entire auditorium falls silent. Her shivering from cold is strikingly real. When the match's light shines on her face, that yearning expression makes several audience members wipe tears. Amid thunderous applause, she finds my spot from the stage and secretly makes a cute star gesture. After the show, little Joy holds up her outstanding performance certificate, running toward us. My uncle lifts her up, joyfully spinning her around. The certificate flutters in the breeze. In that warm moment, I notice at the auditorium's entrance a familiar luxury car parked, the heroine's family car. The text immediately explodes. Look how attentive the heroine's parents are. The poor NPC family doesn't even have decent parents. The villainess must be jealous now. I'm about to lead little Joy away, but see the heroine in a dazzling princess dress, approaching with her parents. You performed really well. It felt so real. The heroine looks little Joy up and down, her voice carrying an unconcealed superiority. Her mother, even less patient, urges, "Don't waste time with irrelevant people." Those words stab my heart like a knife. Just as I'm about to lose my temper, little Joy gently tugs my sleeve, smiling sincerely at the heroine. "Thank you, your Cinderella was great too." Her reaction throws the text into chaos. This is wrong. Why isn't she following the script? The villainess isn't getting mad. On the way home, little Joy carefully holds her certificate. Under the streetlights, her eyes shine brighter than stars. Little fan, I think. The little match girl is braver than Cinderella because she relied on herself. Her words wake me up. No matter how flowery the text's words, they can't change the fact that this girl is shining in her own way. Her smile is pure and radiant, without a trace of gloom. The heroine clearly didn't expect that response. She stands there stunned. Even her parents look surprised. On the way home, my uncle pats little Joy's head, marveling. Our little Joy has really grown up. She skips ahead, still excitedly reenacting her stage moves, as if the earlier incident never happened. In that moment, I finally understand. The so-called extreme darkening in the text will never happen because this girl raised in the smoke and fire of ordinary life carries something more precious than a halo. It's the resilience forged by life, the kindness preserved through hardship. Late at night, on Little Joy's desk I see a new drawing. In it, two girls stand side by side, one in a dazzling princess dress, under the stage lights, the other in rags, but holding a brightly burning match. The flame dances, lighting both their faces. In the corner, neatly written, "Every girl can be a princess." My heart feels like it's soaking in warm water, warm and soft. The floating text on the drawing is almost transparent now. This direction's wrong. Did we get the wrong person? I gently tuck the drawing into her notebook. Moonlight spills through the window, like the warm flame in the drawing. No matter how the text fabricates, the wheel of reality has crushed that script. Little Joy was never a villainess. She's just herself. The girl whole mend clothes for the neighbor, whole save up for colored pencils, whole light a flame of hope in the cold wind, and the heroine's halo in others' eyes. Here to her might not compare to the certificate she drew herself. The night breeze gently stirs the curtains. Moonlight flows across the floor. I know the road ahead is long. The text will keep dancing. But as long as this girl keeps lighting matches to brighten the darkness, those fate-predicting words will vanish like morning dew under the sun. Time passes. In high school, Little Joy becomes a dark horse at school. Her notebook is always filled with dense notes. Even the back of scrap paper is covered with function graphs. But that old doll still sits in her school bag, just carefully mended, with tiny sunflowers embroidered on it. At some point, the floating lines of text in the air start to become transparent, scrolling slowly like subtitles on a jammed projector. The heroine's gone abroad to study. That's the real high-class life. The sluggish text flickers faintly, while Little Joy crouches in the garage, watching me fix a bike with focus. Oil stains her uniform sleeve, but she doesn't care, handing me tools. Her forehead hair damp with sweat, her eyes strikingly bright. Little fan for this physics problem. Should I use the kinetic energy theorem or conservation of momentum? Sunlight slips through the garage cracks, falling on her lash as tiny spakes of light. The lazy text still rambles about bottom dwellers. No future or something like that. I wipe my hands, taking her notebook. My fingers brush her neat handwriting. First, draw the force diagram. As Little Joy leans closer, her hair scented with soap brushes past, lightly grazing my cheek. The school bell rings faintly in the distance. Little Joy suddenly points at the notebook, exclaiming, "So I drew the friction force in the wrong direction." Her moment of realization shines brighter than any high-class aura in the text. Outside the garage, the sunset stretches our shadows long, and those once glaring lines of text are fading in the twilight. My heart suddenly skips a beat. I instinctively step back, but her warm hand grabs my wrist. The soft palm of a teenage girl presses against my skin, bringing a comforting warmth. "Where's the mistake? Explain it to me again." Her voice is eager with a hint of playfulness. I take a deep breath, starting to explain, but my eyes secretly trace her face's contours. The sunlight gilds her. Her expressions, frowned then nodding attentively, make my heart beat faster and faster. That playful lock of hair sways with her nods. My fingers itch to touch it, but I end up gripping the pencil tightly. 3 years pass like a white horse flashing by. Little Joy's certificates cover half the wall. My uncle always piles braised pork in her bowl, grinning until his eyes crinkle, while the heroine abroad starts posting about insomnia on social media. Homesickness. Her aunt's dazzling halo is fading. The text grows hesitant. Where's the refreshing plot? The girl with that poor kid. Why is she smiling so happily? When Little Joy gets guaranteed admission to a top biology program, she throws herself into my uncle's arms, crying like a child, then turns and hugs me tightly. Her tears soak my uniform. She sobs, "If it weren't for you all, I might not have made it." I gently pat her trembling back, repeating the promise from years ago. She lifts her tear-streaked face, her nose red. "And you? We have to be in the same city." I smile and nod. but my heart feels heavy. Seeing her expectant eyes, I quietly clench my fists. Even if I have to stay up late studying, it'll catch up to her steps. Those days I bury myself in practice tests, doing problems in class until my hand aches. Staying up late at home battling on. Little Joy is always quietly by my side. When I'm sleepy, she secretly places a cup of hot milk. When I'm stuck, she flips through thick reference books to find solutions. One late night starving until my stomach hurts, she tiptoes to the kitchen to cook half-raw, half-cooked instant noodles for me. One early morning, I fall asleep on a practice test. Waking up, I find her jacket draped over me. On the desk corner, a thermos. Under it, a note, a scribbled "keep going," with a bunny holding a carrot drawn beside it. I rub the thermos, feeling its lingering warmth. Moonlight perfectly spills through the window, making the translucent text even fainter. The plot's collapsed. This NPC is kinda cool being so serious. The day the college entrance exam results are announced, my score is just enough for Little Joy's university. She hears the news and jumps like a little deer, rushing to kiss my cheek. The world goes quiet, only my heartbeat remains. The feeling of her lips like a feather brushing by, carrying her familiar soap scent. Both of us freeze. Her ears turn red as if they might bleed. She stammers, "I was just too excited." The stubborn text suddenly falls silent. A few seconds later, a line drifts by. This pair is too sweet. I look at the flustered girl before me, suddenly realizing the little match girl from years ago has grown into someone who makes my heart skip. And the villainous label that once filled the sky has melted like spring snow. In her radiant smile, I take a deep breath, gathering all the courage of my life, gently holding her hand. Little Joy, I'm really happy too. Her hand is warm, slightly trembling, but doesn't pull away. We look at each other and smile. Sunlight streams through the window, stretching our shadows long. I know those lines of text that once troubled me, those NPC and villainous labels, have completely faded in this moment. The wheel of reality, because of our efforts, has veered off its destined track toward a future full of light. The summer before college, I finally save enough money to buy Little Joy a new colored pencil set. Not 12 colors, but 48. When she receives the gift, her eyes shine like stars have fallen into them. Little fan, she looks at me, her gaze serious. If known for a long time you're not an NPC, I freeze. How did you know? Because she smiles, showing the dimple from childhood. An NPC wouldn't fix a bike chain so carefully for me, stay up late doing homework with me, or make me want to stay by their side forever. My heart pounds like it's about to leap out of my chest. So she knew everything, knew I wasn't just a friend in words, knew the feelings I hid in every little detail. Cicadas hum outside the window, the sunlight just right. I look at Little Joy smile, suddenly feeling, from that gray corner in the orphanage years ago, my long-term plan has finally blossomed sweetly in reality. And those predictions of poverty and a baton to your life, we've rewritten with our hands into a story full of love and hope. And those vanished lines of text, who cares about them anymore? On the first day of college, Little Joy wears the white dress I gave her, embroidered with the little daisies she loves. She holds the faded doll ball, standing under the dorm waiting for me. Sunlight filters through the sycamore leaves, falling on her hair in shimmering spakes. I drag to suitcases running over, sweat on my forehead still unwiped. Her clear laughter rings out. Little fan, look. My bed's by the window. I look where she points. The dorm walls are slightly peeling. The windowsill holds a few succulents from her roommates. The lazy text drifts across the clothesline. Only a few lines left. The heroine's at a prestigious foreign school in a private apartment, with a 2 for our butler. The villainess is stuck in this rundown place. The NPC's still dirt poor. The suitcase is secondhand too. The class gap is etched in their bones. As I push the suitcase into the dorm, helping her make the bed, I see, under her pillow, a neatly folded piece of paper. It's the keep going note I wrote her in high school. The edges worn from her touch. My heart skips a beat. I pretend not to see, but secretly smile inside. Turns out I'm not the only one, hiding youthful feelings in little corners. College life feels like it's on fast forward. Little Joy is buried in the lab studying fruit flies, often returning to the dorm past midnight. With bits of grass stuck in her hair, I join the robotics club, burning my hand while soldering circuits. She'll run to the club room with a first aid kit, frowning as she applies ointment. We stand side by side in the library. Sunlight pours through the large glass windows, shining on open books. When we're tired from studying, she sneaks glances at me. Caught by me, she quickly lowers her head, but her ears silently turn red. One late autumn afternoon, I stay at the club until late. Leaving the academic building, I see Little Joy wearing my old jacket, crouching on the steps waiting. She holds a thermos. Seeing me, she jumps up. Little fan, I made ginger tea for you. It's cold, drink it to warm up. The hot ginger tea has a faint sweetness. I take a sip. Warmth spreads from my throat to my heart. The text drifts under the streetlights, fainter than in high school. The heroine has a rich boyfriend, picking her up in a supercar after class. The villainess is still waiting for the NPC to finish work. This plot's getting more and more off track. Where's the villainous dramatic comeback? It's like a couple spreading sweetness daily. I look at Little Joy's nose red from the cold, suddenly remembering that great little girl from the orphanage years ago. Over the years, she's no longer the tragic role in the text, but has grown into someone shining on her own. Cold, I tuck her hand into my jacket pocket. Don't wait for me so late anymore. Not cold, she shakes her head, her eyes sparkling, waiting for you to go back together. Makes the walk fun. We walk side by side back to the dorm. Dry leaves crunch under our feet. Passing the campus artificial lake, Little Joy suddenly stops, pointing at the lake. Little fan, look at the moon. The clear moonlight reflects on the water, forming a shimmering silver patch. I glance at her profile. The moonlight outlines her gentle features. I suddenly want to kiss her. The thought flashes and I quickly suppress it. I'm not ready, afraid to startle her. Unexpectedly, Little Joy turns her head, her eyes holding the moon and my reflection. Little fan, do you ever feel like we've met somewhere before? I pause. At the orphanage, of course. The first time I saw you, you were hiding by the cabinet with Ball. No, she shakes her head, her eyes a bit dreamy. Earlier than that, like in a dream, or in those lines of text. My heart leaps. She vaguely remembers the text too. All this time, I thought I was the only one seeing those words. Turns out she's not entirely unaware. You remember the text? I ask cautiously. Not clearly, she frowns. Like a long dream. In the dream, someone said I was a villainess. Said you were a penniless NPC. She pauses, then bursts into laughter. Thinking back, it's so silly. Seeing her smile, the weight in my heart for years finally lifts. So she knew everything. Knew those foolish judgments, but still chose to trust me, chose to walk with me on the path mocked by the text. Silly indeed, I laughed too, reaching out, tucking her wind-tossed hair behind her ear. My fingers brush her warm ear. But good thing we didn't believe that nonsense. Little Joy's cheeks flush slightly. She lowers her head, looking at her shoes. Little fan, there's something I want to tell you. Yeah, my heart beats faster. She takes a deep breath, like gathering all her life's courage. I like you, not like a brother and sister, but wanting to be with you forever. Time seems to stop in that moment. The moonlight on the lake, the dry leaves by the road, the distant insect chirps all blur into the background. I look at Little Joy's nervous, flushed face, feeling my heart about to leap out of my chest. Me too, I hear my voice, with a faint tremble. Little Joy, from the first time I saw you at the orphanage, I've liked you. Little Joy looks up sharply, her eyes full of astonishment. Really, I nod firmly. Unable to hold back, I grab her hand. If I'm lying, I'm a puppy. She bursts into laughter, but tears spill out at the same time. I gently pull her into my arms, smelling the familiar soap scent in her hair. The whole world feels soft. Little Joy murmurs in my arms. Little fan, you know, I secretly read your diary. My body stiffens. When was that? My diary is full of feelings for her. In senior year, you left it on the desk. Her voice is low, wanting to grow up fast, wanting to give little Joy a home. My face burns red, wishing I could find a hole to crawl into. So my long-term plan was discovered ages ago. Little Joy laughs in my arms looking up at me, her eyes shimmering with tears. Little fan, well, have a home, right? I look down at her, saying earnestly, we will. With you, with me, with my uncle. Well, have a really warm home. The evening breeze blows. The moonlight on the lake ripples slightly. One see a few final lines of text, drifting above our heads. So faint they're almost transparent. So it's mutual love. My favorite couple is real weight. Maybe the so-called setup doesn't matter. What matters is they're truly happy. The text is about to fade, wishing this couple is forever wrapped in reality's glow. Those lines that once troubled me, mocked me, finally vanish like receding tides. Little Joy in my arms is so warm. Her heartbeat blends with mine. In the same rhythm, I know the so-called NPC and villainous are just boring setups in some parallel world. But our reality is full of love and effort, carving a path that shines brightly in our own way. After college graduation, Little Joy and I both pursue master's degrees, find jobs together, rent a small apartment in the city. The apartment's balcony is filled with the little daisies she loves. Every time I see them, I think of the orphanage. The girl crouching in the corner with a small daisy. My uncle, after retiring, moves in with us, cooking different dishes for us daily, his eyes full of contentment watching us. One weekend noon, Little Joy and I sit on the sofa looking at old photos, flipping to one taken at the orphanage. Little Joy in the photo is still frail, holding the unnamed doll ball, timidly standing in the corner. I point to myself in the photo. Back then I was just a kid, but already sneaking glances at you. Little fan. Little Joy suddenly points to the background. Look, is that? I follow her finger. In the corner of the photo, faintly a girl in a blue dress, being led away by a well-dressed couple. That's the heroine. Her face with a formulaic smile unfit for her age. I wonder how she's doing now. Little Joy says softly. I wrap my arm around her shoulder, lightly kissing her forehead. Who knows? But I know we're doing great now. Little Joy laughs brightly, resting her head on my shoulder. Sunlight streams through the window, falling on our clasped hands, and on the wedding invitation on the table. The invitation printed with our photo together, set against a field of blooming daisies. I know! The stories of NPCs and villainesses have ended in the smoke and fire of ordinary life. But my story with Little Joy is just beginning. From that first glance at the orphanage, to every remaining day of my life, my long-term plan has become the warmest scene in her eyes. And those vanished lines of text, let's call them a prelude. Strange and absurd in our youth, because love in reality doesn't need a script. Just two people, a sincere heart, and countless days walking together. On our first wedding anniversary, I take Little Joy back to visit the orphanage. The stained walls from years ago are freshly painted. The activity room is full of kids' drawings. The old wooden cabinet where Little Joy once huddled is now a toy shelf. The director, her hair now white, still remembers Little Joy, holding her hand, eyes teary. Little Joy's grown up. So good, so good. Leaving the orphanage. The sunset stretches our shadows long. Little Joy tightly holds the newly mended doll ball, embroidered with our names. I look at the dimple on her cheek, suddenly recalling years ago. Those frantic lines of text flashing before my eyes. They predicted she'd be a villainess, struggling at the bottom, jealous to madness of the heroine. What are you thinking? Little Joy looks up at me, the sunset in her eyes like shattered gold. Thinking I hold her hand, my fingers brushing the ring on her finger. Good thing we didn't believe that nonsense. Little Joy laughs brightly, shaking the doll ball in her hand. You remember the first day at your house I cried under the blanket, afraid you'd send me away. I pinch her cheek. You hid ball under the pillow, afraid I'd steal your treasure. We look at each other and laugh. Our laughter blends into the spring evening breeze. Passing the flower bed where we fixed the daisy years ago, Little Joy suddenly stops, crouching to look at a newly bloomed rose. its petals still holding afternoon dew, glimmering in the sunset. Little fan, her fingers lightly touch the petals. Do you think there's really another world out there, where I actually become the villainess they said I'd be? I crouch beside her, looking at her serious face. Even if there is that world, I'd cross over to steal you back. Little Joy bursts into laughter, turning to look at me, her eyes reflecting me. Such a smooth talker. Only smooth with you. I lean down, lightly kissing her lips. On the way home, we pass a luxury mall. The vitrine displays the latest jewelry, lights shining dazzlingly on diamonds. Little Joy only glances, then pulls me to the night market nearby. Uncle to grilled noodle skewers extra spicy. She greets the vendor familiarly, her eyes glued to the sizzling noodles. Like a greedy kid, I watch her stick out her tongue from the spice, quickly handing her a cold collar. Eat slowly. No one stealing from you. Always trying to steal from you. She proudly waves her skewer. Back then you stole half my candy. Seeing her playful look, I suddenly recall those last lines of text from college. They said we were wrapped in reality's glow, but there's no glow. Our life is full of the smoke and fire of the everyday. My uncle's braised ribs. Little Joy, bringing back strange seeds from the lab. The old worn pillow we saved up to buy together. Little fan. Little Joy suddenly points to the sky. Look, I follow her finger. The city sky is dyed orange by neon lights. Fireworks unexpectedly burst above the clouds. Golden sparks fall shimmering, lighting up her surprised face. Pretty, I ask. Pretty, her eyes shine brightly, like they're filled with stars. Prettier than the diamonds in the mall. I laugh, pulling her into my arms. The fireworks keep blooming, reflecting the lights of distant skyscrapers and the bustling crowd around us. Someone pushes a stroller by. Someone laughs holding grilled skewers. Someone walks a dog along the road. This is our reality. Simple, fragmented, but full of genuine warmth. Every evening at home, I sort through old things, flipping open my high school diary, seeing the lines. She looks kinda cute, but so dirty, clothes all patched up. Probably no one wants her. A kid like that who knows how bad she'll turn out. Near our heroine, I look at those words, suddenly remembering something. Looking up at Little Joy watering flowers on the balcony. Little Joy, I call, do you still remember the text? She turns thinking, shakes her head not clearly, like something from a long time ago, like a faint dream. I smile, close the diary, yeah. Time to wake from the dream. Those scripted plots and characters have been erased by our countless real days. Years later at a college class reunion, someone mentions the standout figure from back then, talking about the heroine who studied abroad. They say she fought with her family, gave up a commercial marriage, now runs a small gallery overseas. Not too rich, but free. They say she's had a hard life. Someone sighs, she was so dazzling back then. Who'd have thought? Little Joy, putting food in my bowl, looks up at that, saying softly, hard or not. Only she knows. I glance at her profile, suddenly understanding. The so-called noble lady or batantier villainess was never a measure of happiness. What matters is, are you living as the person you want to be? Is there someone willing to turn ordinary days into poetry with you? After the reunion, Little Joy and I walk hand in hand on the quiet street. Streetlights stretch our shadows long, then quickly overlap. Little fan. Little Joy suddenly stops, looking at me seriously. Thank you. Thank you for what? Thank you, she tiptoes, lightly kissing my cheek, for not letting me become anyone's villainess. Just letting me be your Little Joy. I laugh, holding her tightly. She's so warm in my arms, like a little sun, chasing away all gloom. And those foolish predictions from back then. The sky is free of text, only bright moonlight and sparse stars. Faint singing drifts from far away, and warm light from someone's window. I know! The stories of NPCs and villainesses are left behind, growing into a tree full of memories, while our future stretches out beneath our feet, like a moonlit path, leading to the truest happiness in ordinary life. From that first glance at the orphanage to this embrace, my long-term plan is fulfilled in the rest of our lives. And those vanished lines of text, let's call them the protagonists, in a strange tale of our love. Because the most beautiful story needs no script, just two people, a sincere heart, and countless days walking together. The story is complete, friends.